Okay, so the Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War beta has finally came to computers, and I decided to go play it for a little bit and kind of give my opinion on it, because the Call of Duty franchise is something that I've really been a fan of for years, but it's not exactly been my favorite franchise. But it has given me tons of really good memories over the years. However, this has honestly been the installment I've been the least excited for, which is weird because Black Ops has been my favorite kind. I love Black Ops 1, 2, and 3. 4 was okay, but I tend to be the most excited for these, but I just haven't been this year. And I really don't know why. I generally just don't really find a huge interest in Call of Duty as much as I used to. And it's mainly because I just like to go outside now. I don't really like to spend a ton of time in the house on a computer. Since we're in quarantine, I kind of have to, but besides that, once this whole thing's over, who knows if I'll really be into Call of Duty anymore. And I do want to talk about Cold War because, this has been a game that I definitely have a couple of things that I like, I dislike, and things I would change. Now, I do want to get this out of the way first off. I do not like how the schedule is set up. The fact is that there is a total of 10 hours or 10 whole days you could play if you own a PlayStation 4. That's double the amount of time on PC. And that's if you pre-order it. If you don't pre-order it, you still get 7 whole days on PS4, which I find dumb. Now, to be fair, I'm not someone who's gonna fanboy. I own a PlayStation 4, and I played Weekend 1 on my PlayStation 4. I just decided to play Weekend 2 on my computer because I prefer computer over PlayStation. But personally, I don't like the whole timed exclusivity thing. It's been a huge problem I have especially with Epic Games Launcher, which I have a new rant. I have to talk about that soon. But generally, I do want to talk about a lot of the aspects and things I found really good about the game. Now, first off, the gunplay. I think the gunplay is really good, and I would actually bargain that, and honestly, at points feels better than Modern Warfare. The time to kill feels almost just right. It's not too long, it's not too short. It feels a perfect in the middle. It's in the middle between Modern Warfare and BO4, where it's longer than your typical COD game like Modern Warfare, but it's shorter than BO4. And I do feel like the guns feel great, and the gunsmith and the customization is back, and I do really enjoy the gunsmith. I personally have always grown up with the pick 10 system, but the gunsmith works pretty well. And I found the gunsmith to be pretty solid in Modern Warfare, and Cold War just feels like an improvement. The maps are okay. I generally think that the maps could be a little better, but generally, I think they're alright. Now, and another, one huge positive for me compared to Modern Warfare, while the graphics may feel like somewhat of a downgrade, the art style, I tend to prefer Treyarch for of any single Call of Duty developer. For me, at least, Treyarch is the most artistically talented, and you can see that through Zombies, you can see that through their multiplayer. And for me, the multiplayer, in terms of not graphical performance, but in terms of, general looks, like the art style, I find the art style to be a lot more pleasing to me, and I do tend to enjoy the art style a lot more than Modern Warfare. That being said, though, it's important to note that the first beta was terrible for a lot of reasons, and there were a ton of issues about it. But luckily, with this PC and whole crossplay beta, they fixed a lot of it. Progression is speedy fast, and while I definitely would say that it feels really fast, maybe a little too fast at times, I do think that it's great that the progression is really fast, especially because the first weekend's progression, especially weapon progression, was god-awful. It was ridiculously slow. I had to play 2 games just to upgrade a single gun by 1 level, which is fine with BO3 or BO2 when there's the pick 10 system. But with the gunsmith and there's maybe 50 attachments, I don't want to have to play with the same gun for 50 hours to unlock every single attachment. I just don't want to. And I do definitely prefer the pick 10 system to gunsmith in some instances. I just feel like you have a bigger connection to unlocking new attachments. I do think that the gunsmith is a solid change, and I do think it's a great change for the series. And who knows, maybe I'll enjoy it a little more. Now, a couple things I am definitely going to point out. This is a beta, and it's clear to point out that there are a lot of things I generally do not like about the full game compared to the beta. I want to bring up Modern Warfare and BO4 as an example. BO4, Black Ops 4, when I played the beta, I had a really fun time. I had a fun enough time that when it came out, I picked up a physical copy of Black Ops 4 for my Xbox One. And I generally liked it, and I had a lot of fun, but it just didn't feel as solid and fun as it did during the beta. And this was back where the betas were all closed. Besides PC, which is open. Modern Warfare is another example, and I do want to bring this up. I have a decent spec computer. Not the greatest spec, but I have a 1060 and an i7. So, when I played the Modern Warfare beta, and it ran really well, that, I expected that. It ran pretty well. It ran at a solid 60 frames. So, when it came time to buy Modern Warfare, I thought the beta was fun enough, and I had enough money that I decided to just buy Modern Warfare. But instead of buying it on either my Xbox or my PlayStation, I decided to go full on PC, because I love PC, and I have the PC to support it. That was a bad mistake. Not because of the timed exclusivity, but because when I actually went to launch the game, it just did not work. I think it was a VRAM issue, but for me, Modern Warfare would crash on startup, and it's clear that I looked it up and did research that I was not the only one who suffered this problem. A ton of people had the same issue that I did, and while it was fixed, I did have to reinstall the game, and I didn't reinstall the game until around May or June. Actually, no, around July, I reinstalled the game, and now it works fine. The Warzone still runs pretty bad on my computer. Like I said, that's a VRAM problem. I generally do not have the most VRAM. I only have the 3GB version of the 1060, which was a terrible idea. But generally, I just think that Call of Duty on PC, they really want to edge into that market, but they really need to do better with their optimization. Now, will I actually buy Cold War? Because like I said, I actually had a lot of fun with the beta. The Weekend 1 was okay, but Weekend 2 was a significant improvement. And as you can see through the gameplay, I am doing really well. And when you're doing really well, it is a really fun time. I dropped a 30 bomb and I dropped a 20 bomb. But I think the biggest problem just comes from the fact that the memories I have of playing Call of Duty and the times I have playing it are just not the same anymore. I remember, for me at least, Call of Duty is a elementary to middle school game. And I want to emphasize that. Honestly, for me, I have so much really good memories of Black Ops 3 playing it in elementary school. I have the most memories of that game. I remember playing custom games with so much of my friends on Xbox, being in a party, and we all just kind of play and vibe and talk about it. And we all just talk about random stuff and grind Black Ops 3. And I did a similar, and when BO4 came out, I played a lot of that too. I played a lot of Black Ops 4, and I enjoyed it. But there's just the same experience just doesn't exist on anymore. A lot of my friends don't play COD anymore because we kind of grown out of it, and I definitely agree with that. The new installments just are not as fun as they used to be compared to like Black Ops 1 and Black Ops 2. I just don't have as much fun anymore. Even Black Ops 3 I had a really fun time with, and then ever since really World War II, I would say, actually no, ever since Infinite Warfare for a lot of people, it hasn't really been the same. For me, Infinite Warfare's time cycle was fine because I played Modern Warfare Remastered and Black Ops 3 the entire time. I didn't buy Infinite Warfare till around maybe a year or two ago. But I generally think that the Call of Duty franchise for me is a great middle school time, and it really stays in middle school. Like I said, you go to a party, you talk about a ton of stuff. Over summer, you grind it, you know. I had a lot of fun grinding Black Ops 3 with my friends. A really fun time grinding it. Before high school, before middle school, it was a really, really fun time in my life, but that times have changed. And now that I'm in high school and I have a bigger emphasis on going outside and going and enjoying my life, getting into skating and, just going outside and going to the mall every weekend, trying to talk to girls, all that other stuff. I don't really have a lot of time for Call of Duty. And while I generally go on PC a lot and still play video games a lot, and there's still a huge portion of my life, I generally don't really like to play Call of Duty anymore. It's a middle school game for me, and I know that's definitely cheesy to say, but I miss middle school and elementary school. But I'm not in that time period anymore, and for me, Call of Duty will probably not be the same for me ever. And I know that for a lot of people it's the same thing, because with we've seen a significant decrease in quality, and even the simplicity. Like, the past couple installments, they've been trying to complicate things so much that I think that a lot of people are just enough of it. While I thought Modern Warfare was the best COD game in a while, there were things I really did not like about it, and the fact is that the game was way too complicated for a COD game, and some people just want a game like Black Ops 2, but an improved and solid game with good multiplayer maps and good progression, which actually is not that hard. It's just that they think that we want these really, really, really huge titles every single year, when truthfully, all we want is a classic Call of Duty game. I mean, there was a game called Iron Sight, which I actually was playing for a little bit, but I didn't really play it that much because the player counts were really low. And that was basically like a Black Ops 2 fan-made game, or not really fan-made, it was a knockoff, but it was a really good knockoff. And it is on Steam, but it's more or less dead, because it really, at least in the United States, it doesn't really get much support compared to Asia. But the truth is that with those types of games, we just want a classic multiplayer Call of Duty game. We don't want these crazy 007 experiences. And while I definitely think that it's fun, and this is definitely a much more simple game than Modern Warfare, I generally am not 100% sure if I'm going to buy it. Like I said, those multiplayer memories of me on parties with friends grinding the games for hours a day are the memories I'm going to cherish for the rest of my life. And I generally don't think I could live up to them. The truth is that most of me and my friends have moved over to PC. My Xbox is collecting dust now, and while I do play my PlayStation 4 occasionally just because it's outside in an outside house, generally I do not touch my Xbox anymore. And a lot of my friends don't either. Aside from maybe 2 or 3 people, we all moved to PC, and Call of Duty is not the same on PC, and it's not the same as going on Xbox, seeing who's online, and just grinding it for hours on end, and playing zombies. And also zombies, we don't really know 100% how that's gonna go. I had optimism towards BO4 zombies, but it's not the same as BO3. I just didn't really get into it. It was really fun for a while, and then it got really, really boring, and generally I mimic the same opinion that I would much rather the BO3, much more simple style of zombies. BO3 was the peak for me of zombies. The best time, and a lot of people would agree with me. Anyway, I know that this is definitely more of an opinionated video, and there are definitely things I'm not a huge fan of about Cold War. Optimization I know is not going to be great, at least for PC, and that's why I'm really not thinking, because it seems like every single time the beta tends to run better than the actual game. But I want to hear your guys' opinions on Cold War. Do you guys excited for it? Are you not excited for it? And who knows, maybe I'll actually start talking about my experiences with Black Ops 3 and talk about some stories and talk about why I really love that game. It's probably not my favorite COD game, but it probably is the one I have the most nostalgia for. But anyway, I hope you guys really enjoyed this video, and if you did, then like and make sure you subscribe. I'm really trying to get back into YouTube. So, see ya in the next video.